Just believe in me. Can you justify world of trust and blame? In my mind, is it in my mind? I see, but am I blind? In my mind,
Non-stop rock talk with Tyson, Bryden. Tony and Mike, welcome to Nonstop Rock Talk. Great to have you joining me on the show today. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for having us on the show.
Hey, Tyson, doing great.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. So, getting right to it. So, the name of the band is In Theory. Now, tell me how you came up with that moniker and pretty much the whole project itself.
You want to start, Tony? You want me to start?
Oh, you can start. Yeah.
Okay. Well, In Theory was... to answer your first question, it was a joke going around the room, where it was just basically, oh yeah, that'll work in theory, or this will do, in theory this is okay, or in this, we just kept saying that all during the rehearsals. So we're like, oh, that sounds like that would be a good name for a band, and that's actually sort of how we came up with the name In Theory. How the project came about was it's just actually a story that goes way back. Tony and I were signed to EMI Records, a band called Big Mouth, in the early '90s. The big hair band way back in the day, and then things just didn't line up. I think we were at the tail end when the grunge started hitting and the hair bands were going away. So as much as it was great to get signed at the time, it just didn't work out. And then for a very long time, Tony and I, the timing was never right to do a new music project. And what occurred is I was doing this project. I own a company called Go-Go Tuners, and I have a lot of high-profile artists. And within the project, I was like, it would be great to reunite with Tony and to do how would Tony and I write a hard rock band, a hard rock music in 2020. Right. So we decided to put a band together to showcase how Tony and I would write in 2019, 2020. And, we made the debut on the Go-Go record with obviously with so many of the other famous people on that record. And the album was received so well, and Tony and I were so happy with the music that we wanted to take it one step further. And that's where we are now. So it was such a progression from that. And then the next thing Tony and I did was to record down in Muscle Shoals with some of the legendary guys called the Swappers, and one of the guys that was Spooner and some of these other folks. Yeah. And that elevated Tony and I to a different level in our playing and our songwriting. And then that took us to where we are now. And I think that originally the plan was I was going to bring everybody down to Muscle Shoals and do an old school, like Zeppelin recording, or, when everybody was in the same room and, you're feeding off of everybody's energy. Nobody does it like that anymore. And, there's something special when you're feeding off other people's energy and they're reacting to you and vice versa. But then when the pandemic hit, obviously it made traveling quite impossible, and obviously all the studios closed. Yeah. So I basically was a blessing in disguise. Really the silver lining on it is for almost 4 months straight, I just immersed myself in writing, producing, everything that I could learn. About being a better guitar player on every level. I just watch YouTube wow, what did that guitar player do on that? And I would learn. What did that producer do on this album? And I would learn the production aspects, or learn writing styles. The songs I like, and it doesn't even matter what genre, what style. I just want to be the best. Because time is very precious, and I knew it's I'm never gonna have this 4 or 5 months where I can play 12, 16 hours a day and just learn.
Yeah.
And I wrote about something close to about 60 songs, something like that. And I started, I have a page, 60 pages of notebooks of so many ideas. And then I started, Tony and I started collaborating and said, okay, now which ideas do we like? And again, I think it was a silver lining for Tony, because I think Tony, and Tony, I always joke, I always feel like, Tony wanted to choke me many times during these sessions, but because he was cooped up in the studio up in New York, and he would send me it was like, okay, I got a part, but I was just pushing Tony. I really wanted to push Tony because I know how great Tony really is. And I think sometimes he doesn't realize actually how great he is. And I just wanted to push him, and I pushed him. And when I'm saying there's probably about 200 takes per song, it's probably not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But I think him doing that over a 3 or 4 month period, it made him a better singer. Like, he's got, his tonality is different. The way he phrases is different. His timing is different. The way he approaches the song. If you hear the 2 songs that Tony sang on the Go-Go Tuner record versus the 3 or 4 songs that we're about to release now, I think you heard the first one, Heroes.
Yeah.
Tony just elevated his game, and I think if these other songs don't put Tony on the map as a great singer or a contender, I think nothing will. So that was the silver lining with the whole pandemic. But I think if he would have just came down here and with the original plan of, okay, we're going to come down, we're going to just record for 2 or 3 days, I don't think he would have been at that level.
Wow. That's amazing. And, listening to a few of the tracks, I was trying to figure out the voice, and I'm like, it sounded like someone. And, the only thing I could compare it to was a band called Asphalt Ballet. I don't know if you guys know them on their second album. And that was kind of the biggest comparison I could get out of it. But other than that, it's very...
What band was that?
Asphalt Ballet. They did 2 albums, I think, in late 80s, early 90s. They were they actually did a Guns N' Roses song that GNR never used. And then the band Wildside did a demo of that song as well called Crash Dive. And that singer sang on that song. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I gotta check that out.
Yeah. Their first album, they had 2 different singers. It's the guy who sang on the second album, which I believe was called Pigs. So, and I kind of got that comparison from it. The first singer kind of sounded totally different, but the second singer had a stronger voice. He had a really good voice. So that's kind of where I drew that comparison from.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No problem. So, I have to admit, listening to the track Heroes, I hear a ton of depth in there, a considerable amount of instrumentation and cool changes. Give me a bit of an idea of the sound you're kind of going for that on that song. I love that B3 Hammond organ in there, by the way, because I love B3. So it's such...
Oh, yeah. Well, what I was trying to, like I said, I locked myself away for those 3 or 4 months. Yeah. I was basically, the way I was approaching the songs was like how to make, like a great recipe, just like, okay, a little bit of Soundgarden, like 2, right, whatever you want to call it, 2 tablespoons of Soundgarden.
Yeah.
A little bit of, the Hammond comes from Clayton Ivey, and Clayton Ivey in Muscle Shoals, he's a legend in Muscle Shoals. He sold about 400 million records, this guy.
Yeah.
From Aretha Franklin, Percy Sledge, to, it goes on, like in almost every major country act in the last 20 years is him. Wow. And it's really ridiculous. When I say about 400 million, I think it's probably conservative, but he's sort of the guy, and that's how we fit him. But basically what I was trying to create with the sound was, like I said, there's a little bit of Soundgarden, there's a little bit of, not Southern, but I call it swampy, because it's not like Southern rock, but there's a Southern feel to it. And there's a little bit of Zeppelin.
I totally.
And then there's some parts, where I'm using like maybe like a Audio Slave, Rage Against the Machine, type of guitar voicings as well. And if you meld all those, and then also the gospel choir, I forgot about that. The gospel choir is actually Stevie Wonder's choir on that.
Oh, wow.
So we have, so you have Stevie Wonder's choir, you have Clayton, who's the Muscle Shoals legend. The bass player was the biggest surprise for us because he was the guy when I was itching to get in the studio to work out the demos. He was just the assistant. He was just, when my main guy couldn't do it, he's like, well, you want to use my assistant? And, and I just wanted to write. I'm like, sure, cool. Have him come down, it'll be great. And as I was doing the demos, I said, well, I think I need some bass on it. He goes, yeah, I play a little bass. I'm like, okay. And he plays a lot more than a little bass. He's sort of like John Paul Jones beats bass. Like I call him, he plays like John Paul Jones, but his choice of notes is like from Stone Temple Pilots. But the notes that he's ending is really kind of cool how he ends it.
Yeah.
And it turns out that this, I call him the kid because he really is a kid, that he just won a Grammy for the latest Rival Sons records as well, for engineer as well. And that was our assistant. So that was a nice blend of all those styles. You take Stevie Wonder's choir, you take Muscle Shoals, and take, I think Tony's got a little bit of Soundgarden, a little bit of Alice in Chains, a little bit of, Cornell. He has all these influences, and I think Tony dug deep on this as well. And and then I did my best that I could do. I played with enough guitar, but if you meld all those together, that's the sound that we're going for. It's almost like I call it at the end of the day. It's like a sloppy hard rock. Is best I could say.
Yeah, I like this. Like I said, there's a lot of depth in there. Now, Tony, how did you approach the vocal on that?
As far as like when I was singing it?
Yeah, like when you heard the song, and I'm sure there was an idea there, and like, did you have something in your mind of how you kind of wanted to approach it? Like, were you like thinking Chris Cornell maybe or something like that?
No, I really don't. I don't try to imitate anybody. It's just, I know singers try to sound like people, but that, the way I sing is the way I sing. I guess I have baked in like all these influences in how I express myself, maybe
right.
The way I might tail certain notes or things like that. I try to encompass, all the great singers that I've listened to over the years, and hopefully made my own style on this next record that we're putting out. But I naturally had like a very I'm a little bit I see the world as a macro view, and if things bother me, like I'll just put that out in how I sing and the lyrics that I write.
That's cool.
Because I'm naturally an introverted person, so that's just the way I express myself. So like with this song, it was a very like, who are your heroes? Do they lie? It's very it's an anti-hero song.
Yeah.
So it's basically what you see isn't always what you get, kind of thing.
That's cool. Did we mention who played drums on the track?
The drummer we have is Andy Sinisi. He's the drummer for Missing Persons.
Oh, cool.
Amongst other people, but he plays with Frankie Valli as well. But he's also been the touring guy for Sebastian Bach. But he's actually more well known for the guy who replaced Terry Bozzio on Missing Persons. So yeah,
that's cool. Now, I was on after I listened to Heroes today. I was on YouTube and I was checking out some more stuff. So I dug the track "She's Gone." Again, there's a lot of depth in that, especially within those vocals, and I love the vocal execution on that song. And as I said, that one kind of really did remind me of Asphalt Ballet. I think that was the one that the most I heard that comparison. And the tone of the guitar solo as well, really well done. That was really cool. All around, there's kind of so much within the song. What can you guys tell me about this song?
She's Gone basically is a song about it's almost like, you know, like when you have, it was my take on like how a person, you know, like in a 10-year time through maybe some not so good situations or decisions that they made in their life, went from being innocent, small kid on the playground to they're all messed up on whatever it might be, either drugs or they're in a life that they really can't get out of.
Right.
So that was like my macro view on that is like, she's gone. It's like, you know, a young innocence can never die is one of the lines. You know, it's just basically, you know, like one day you're a kid, you got no problems, and the next minute you're in a situation because of bad decisions that you're like, how did I end up here? That kind of vibe on that song. There's a very like minor negative tone to the way I sang it. You know, it was meant to be like a, you know, not an angry song, but an emotional, like negative, you know, like almost singing through that person's, you know, body. Like, you know, they're in a situation they can't get out of, and that's the kind of tone I try to get out of as a vocalist.
That's cool. And you know what? I initially listening to it, like you mentioning that she's gone, it's like the perspective afterwards. I probably should have listened to the lyrics a little bit more so that I would have got that more out of it. But moving forward, listening to the song again, now that knowing that perspective, I mean, that's a cool concept, actually.
Yeah, it's like I said, like I have, and a lot of times, you know, writing the lyrics is kind of hard because I have a feeling and I have something I want to say, and it's almost like I can't write what my mind, where my mind moves too fast for, I can't express it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I could sing one word and express 5 different things, but I can't write it down. So and that's kind of, you know, part of the, you know, the give and take with me too. Like I'll sing a really cool part and I'll send it to Mike, and then Mike will be like, man, well, it's really good, but I think we need to maybe tweak this word, tweak that word. And, you know, that's all part of the give and take and how we create music. But you know, trying to come up with the right vocal to get across the meaning that I want is an art in itself, you know, and that's something that I constantly work on.
Yeah, I think the really great vocalists of this work, like the guy, you know, like the people that influence us, they have a way of doing that too, right? Where they can really convey that emotion through the song, through their vocal, which to me is, I always find amazing. And I think sometimes people don't realize how much goes into the actual singing of a track.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I just kind of try to put myself in the moment. Like with me, like I usually don't have any lyrics. I'll hear the music.
Yeah.
Like a Mike will play a riff, or there'll be, and believe it or not, I go off of like the way the drum sounds with Mike's riff, and I just instantly I know the vibe.
Right.
Now I just have to write the lyrics and come up with a title. Like, so I really go off of, you know, I don't know notes. I don't know if I'm singing minor or major. I don't know any of that. All I know is I just feel it.
And,
you know, and Mike is the opposite. Mike knows all that stuff. So, you know, we make a good team. You know, he knows that he's up on all that stuff. So I think we make a good team, because sometimes I just make like happy accidents. Like I'll just sing a part. He's like, oh, what was that? And I'm just like, well, I'm just messing around, you know. But then he'll take it and run with it, you know. So
that's very cool. So generally, that's kind of the process of how you guys work. Is Mike, you come up with, you know, the music and the idea of the music and structuring, and then you come in and do, you know, you put your words and your melody to it.
It's a little bit of that. I mean, there's usually I'm coming up with all the riffs initially, and then Tony starts working out his melodies, and then from there, you know, there's always some elements in songwriting that are extremely important, and you know, and like I said, I push Tony quite hard, and, you know, vice versa, but I'll take a hard look at his lyrics and say, okay, what are you trying to say? And because there's a lot of times vocally,
right?
And I think a lot of vocalists do this, where they sing words that sound great. They sound great, but it's not cohesive in song. It's not a cohesive thought.
Right.
So I'm a bit of a poet writer as well outside of the music stuff. I just like writing lyrics and then putting my thoughts down. So I'll always question Tony and just question him. Okay, what are you trying to say here? Maybe this has to rhyme, or choose this word instead of this word, and but yeah, that's how the writing process is. But usually, like, Tony's writing the majority of the lyrics, and I'll go in and just fine tune the thoughts.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
So getting to a song like "Can't Find My Way," again, the texture. There's so much texture in there. Guitar is so cool, flows nicely. Sounds as though you guys in the studio really put a lot of thought into what is going to tape. Straight ahead rock with complexity. Is that on purpose, or is that simply just how it comes out when you're in the studio?
Oh no, that's definitely on purpose, and I really appreciate that you noticed that and acknowledged that that was very important to me. And like you said, as a producer, I wanted some more depth than just here's a good rock song, or say just here's the song. I want to do something like like an old school, like how George Martin would approach it, or how Prince would approach a song, or and really just I'm looking for every little thing sonically, and how every note ends and next note starts, and and just putting layers of things that even it's like little ear candy that people aren't hearing, but if you hear the song, you maybe like the 20th or 30th time, and you're like, oh wait, what is that thing? So it's all these little things, and a lot of times as we're doing it too, I'm adding parts, and also I'm like, Tony, your vocals don't fit on it. Now we need to change this part, and then he'll come up with the part and elevate the part, and then I'll restructure something underneath him. So yeah, there's a lot of thought to it. I mean, even on the Can't Find My Way at the end, and we're ending with a classical piano at the end of the song. It's something that you don't really hear at the end. It's building up from from a production standpoint. This crescendo, right? It's building up, and then I think a production trick that the band Garbage was doing, and at the end, if you hear it, if you really crank it up, it's doing this, but it's actually that's just the guitars doing it, like this very percussive thing, and it builds up, and then as it starts to dissipate, all of a sudden you hear this gospel piano and song. So there's a lot of that, like that, it goes on like that. Yeah, so it's very conscious, and I really try to push myself to be, like you said, a better producer, as I move along, when I'm doing in this venture.
So,
and I think sometimes, like Tony has said in the past, like, because a lot of times I'll call up Tony, like, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to cut this off here, I'm going to put this over here, we're going to do this, and I'll just throw all these ideas. I think I'm looking at a blank face if I can see his expression on the other side of the phone. but now we're getting to a point where he's like, all right, Mike, let's go. Play for me once you're done.
So like in terms of Muscle Shoals, like, do you still use an old board or is it all digitalized now?
No, it's a combination of half and half.
Okay.
We're very fortunate where we're recording the record. Majority is called East Avalon Recorders. Yeah. And the studio, he has some of the coolest, like, old, vintage gear on the planet. Like a lot of like old analog gear from the 70s and 60s. And I think a lot of times he doesn't even know what he has. And him and I are both really quirky, which works with, my production head and the way he is. And I'm like, you know what? I hear this and this and this. And he's like, he goes, I think I have something in the corner room. And he'll pull this thing out, wipe the dust off it, we'll plug it in, and we're like, oh my God, this thing sounds great. Just like, and there is software that does it. For instance, like on these songs, we had Tony running through these preamps that there's a famous picture of Jimi Hendrix sit in front of 8 of these things.
Really?
That Jimmy had us use on the drums, vocals, guitars. This studio has two of them, and we were using that on Tony's vocals.
That's so cool. Wow.
And so, but there's so much stuff like that, even on that bridge part. We found this old analog pedal, and it was from like the early 70s. I don't know, like the name is scraped off, and it's such a unique pedal. It's so nasty, this thing, but I assume if I play it, I'm like, yeah, I know where to put this thing, but yeah, that's what, so there is like you said, it's split right down the middle of, there's enough modern technology and there's so much old gear here.
Yeah.
And that goes for almost all the studios here. Yeah. But I think at East Avalon, he has the biggest selection of that. And I love it. Like, he's like the mad scientist. Like, every corner room, there's something different. And it's almost like what you would think, like, the guy from Back to the Future, like,
Christopher Lloyd.
It's almost like if you put that guy and he's the guy engineering it with it, so, but yeah, he's like that, it's like, but I think it works out very well. We have a good chemistry where I'm like, I'm hearing something here. It's like, you know what? If I run this, do this, we can get that, Mike. I'm like, all right. It's sort of like that situation, and he's the only one of the last guys that has this thing called what it's called like a reverb room. Oh. And obviously these days people, there's software and apps and that make amazing reverbs, right? It's a very expensive stuff. He actually built a room out of a bomb shelter. And what we do is we will fly in certain parts. And we did this actually when we recorded with one of the Swampers. His name is Spooner, who's a legend. And when Tony did the vocals on that, and we read Tony through the bomb shelter. So and basically what this guy created, it's I think a 6 or 7 second natural delay. So he runs a live speaker into one corner of the room, a microphone on the other side, and it takes 7 seconds. And there's no machine that can actually duplicate a real reverb like that.
Wow.
And that's how they, all those old records that were done in Fame, back in the 60s, that's how they were done. The only other place that comes close that was doing something like that technique was almost all the Beatles records at Abbey Road.
Right.
It does the same exact thing. Right. So, yeah, so it's kind of cool, right, to get to work with somebody or like the engineer like that, so.
That's very cool. I mean, possibly the first time you went in there, that's just such a legendary place that, the first time going in there was probably like, wow. Like just one of those really cool.
Well, it was weird because I was coming back and forth here for quite a while, and to be really honest with you, I wasn't really getting the significance, and it was just really, honestly, there was so many, like all these different things had to line up for myself. And I think Tony had the wow experience when I finally brought Tony down, and I brought Tony. The very first thing I did with Tony when we were doing the Spooner sessions from Swampers, I took them up from the airport, and I took him to Fame. And then I took him to Muscle Shoals Sound, which is on Jackson Highway. Yeah. And they're the two most famous to give him like a sense of inspiration of this place. Because there is something, even though it's an economically depressed place, there is something here that brings out amazing music in people. Yeah. And I always mention about the interview with Steven Tyler and Joe Rogan, where Steven Tyler is in the Edda room, and he just starts crying. Like, he was feeling the energy of Percy Sledge, Wilson Pickett, Carol, like everybody that's recorded there, and he's still feeling it, and he's crying. And if you talk to Paul McCartney or Bono or like Sting, any of these guys that have recorded down here from the legendary guys, it all affects them in that way. Mm-hmm. And for me, like I said, it was just a little bit different. I was a little bit... like I said, I was going back and forth between California and Muscle Shoals for quite a bit. And I don't know. I was like, okay, it's fine. It's cool. Like I was more like that. Like, that's cool. I was there for other reasons, not really for that at the time. And and it was really just, again, it was such a coincidence because that guy Spooner, who's obviously in that movie, the Muscle Shoals documentary. Yeah. I don't know. Did you ever get to see that?
did I ever watch it? I know I'm familiar with it. I'm not sure if I ever. I think someone told me to watch it, and I don't think I ever got around to it.
Yeah, you should definitely watch that because Spooner, we did lots of with Spooner, we did on this new record lots of with Clayton, and they're both in that movie. So for us to play with, two of the legendary guys in 6 months is quite amazing.
Yeah.
But when you're down here, you'll see shirts, just what would Spooner do? Like,
oh, really?
And
that's cool.
And and I'm also I'm a marketing business guy as well, and I'm thinking like, wow, this guy's clever. You see billboards, you're like, what would Spooner do? I'm like, this entire time I'm thinking he's this marketing guy. I'm like, well, God, what a clever guy. Because everybody seems to know, who this Spooner guy is. I'm like, he did such a great job. I mean, I was, ignorance is bliss, and then finally, what happened was, I got invited, like something you would see like in a movie. I got invited to a private event on an estate in what they call Tuscumbia, which is one of the 4 cities that make up Muscle Shoals. It's the Quad Cities. It's Muscle Shoals, Sheffield, Tuscumbia, Florence. They call it the Quad Cities.
Okay.
And it was a private event. And at this private event, it was the Muscle Shoals Musical League and the Nashville Musical League. And no one knew I played guitar or what I was doing, except for the drummer who was playing that night. And I kept playing them tracks as I was working on the record.
Yeah.
So he's really the only guy in town who knew, except for like the guys at the drive-thru. At night, I'd get done with the day, so I'd play him like, hey, what do you think? The guys at the drive-thru would love it, But when I got to play at this event, honestly, I wasn't getting the scope of it. I was like, cool, I'm going to play at this event. Instead of just going up and like, hey, go play with us at this bar. The fact that I'm playing, I knew I was going to play in front of the elite. I didn't know who was there. I didn't know their names. Yeah. The fact that this was a controlled environment. And then I took it one step further, and the band was very kind. Even though I was only going to sit in for one song, I go, do you think I can bring my rig down? They let me bring my rig down so I could play one song.
Wow.
Which is, because if somebody asked me to do that, I would not do that. Like, nah, just come up and play guitar. Or, here's the microphone, you do your best, but they let me do that. And sure enough, they bring, Spooner up, and every place is going crazy. And then they bring, they mention, this guy, he's got 10 number 1 hits. The next guy, he's got $5,000. Like, they go through everybody on stage. All right. And then they go, and we got Mike. All right. And I'm looking around, and I'm cracking up. I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But the guy was like this old school blues guy. He goes, you know what? Hey, Mike, this is Big Mike. Everybody in the house, welcome Big Mike. And that's how I was introduced to this whole scene.
Yeah.
And if you ever met Spooner, he's a very shy, reserved guy.
Right.
And I was furthest from the exit. And before leaving, he comes up to me. And he says, hey, my name's Spooner. And so he goes, I just want to let you know, I really love the way you play, and I'm Spooner. And the 3 tables next to me, like everybody's their mouth dropped because A, he rarely plays out, and B, he's a quiet guy. He's just he's borderline shy, so for him to do that, again, ignorance is bliss. I'm like, cool, sure, I like the way I play. And then finally, my girlfriend goes, can you just look him up on Google, like on YouTube? I look him up, I'm like, oh, okay. That's who this guy is. And then I went back and I looked at the documentary and like, oh, got it.
Wow. That's quite a compliment.
And then it turned out it was such an amazing week because a lot of people don't also realize that the blues was actually founded here in Muscle Shoals. Everyone, of course, there's the Memphis blues, there's Chicago, there's, the Delta, but there's this thing called WC. His name is W.C. Handy, and he's the guy who actually created the 1-4-5 on the blues. He was documenting that stuff in the 1920s, 1910, and he's the guy. And once a year, they have a thing called the Handy Fest down here. And when they're doing a Handy Fest, it's 10 days, and there's 400 shows.
Wow.
And sure enough, when I was doing that event, it was the day before the Handy Fest was going to start. And I got to play, I think, 6 shows just with all these people that were in town for this event. Like, come and play with us, come and play with all these elite, famous folks. And that's sort of how I was introduced to the Muscle Shoals scene. And then from there, I really just, really embraced, the music here and really in the holding the river and, the theory of the river and in reverence, I really think that it really affected the way I play and what's coming out of me, because honestly, I've never been a slide blues guy. I've never conducted, like on the Goga record, I've never conducted an orchestra. I've never really dug as deep, but all this music suddenly is coming out that's never come out. And I really attribute it, as cynical as I'm like a cynical New Yorker in California. I'm like, how could the river affect you like that? Come on, And, but somehow, I'm making this music. It's not that I'm making better music. I'm making music that I didn't know that it was inside me.
Yeah.
So I really think there is something here about, and then there's also been a resurgence where now they rebuilt all the studios, a good majority. So like the old school, like in Manhattan or in LA, there's not really, because technology is so good, a lot of the major studios have closed down.
Right.
But here they're rebuilding them back up. So you go through like a 10 or 15 mile radius, there's 9 or 10 major studios in the 10-mile radius.
Wow.
And you have all the people coming down from Nashville. I feel like Rival Sons just did the last record here. Steven Tyler's always down here.
Cool.
I think Bono just did something here recently. This wonderful band called In Theory did something down there recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a really full thing. It's like there's definitely like a resurgence or a renaissance of old school music that's going on here, and I'm glad that In Theory got to be a big part of it.
Right.
And I really didn't, honestly, I didn't even really think on another level how much we are in a lot of ways. Tony and I are this next generation of Muscle Shoals without even putting the flag down, saying, you know what, we're changing it. This is what we're just doing what we do.
Yeah.
And the legends, and it's not only the Claytons and the Spooners and those guys, but it's the engineers, it's all these producers. It's this, we had this one drummer who's actually on 2 of our other tracks, not the guy from Missing Persons, but he's on about 1,000 records, from like Kembo to Toby Keith. His resume is another ridiculous, yeah, and he's the kid. He's at 36, 35. And, but he's on about 1,000 records. And when he heard it, he's another guy. He's like, wow, we don't get to do this here. Like, oh my God, Mike, you got to play out. You got to come with this. And the bigger one was Clayton, because obviously Clayton sold 400 million records. So, and again, I had the choice at the time when we had the choice, bringing up a whiz kid to play on it or Clayton. And again, ignorance is bliss. I'm like, I've heard Clayton's name. That was it. He sounds like an old school guy. That was my thought. And because I wanted one foot in old school Muscle Shoals to go with Tony's vocals and what I was doing guitar-wise. And so when I was warned when Clayton was coming into the room was, the engineer and the other folks were like, he's going to come in, he's going to wear a mask, he's just going to go to a live room, he's not going to say hello, he's just going to do his thing. And he's yelling at the engineers and it's like, it's yelling. I said, punch me in on the 3, punch me on the 4. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, like, is this guy going to take any input from it? And so finally after he's playing, and again, there's 2 things. I appreciate that he wants to do our music justice. Like, he came there not to be my friend. He came there to be, to bring the music alive, to be the best he could do. And so he's doing it, and I can see his mind working. Every pass we're doing, he's coming up with a new idea. So finally, after I saw him yelling at everybody, I hit the talk button, and I go, Clay, you know what? You really need to be more aggressive. And I don't know what notes you're missing, but you're dropping some notes. And then I just thought he had, right, and he had the biggest grin on his face. He goes, you want me to be more aggressive? I'm like, it's never aggressive enough, man. Just go for it. And this guy, he was jumping on, when I say literally, he was jumping on that keyboard on that Haddon B3. he was jumping, and I have to get videos. I mean, he actually broke the speaker off that friggin' thing.
Really?
He was, oh my God, he was just blasting it. And then he comes out of the room, and he comes up to me, he goes, you know what? Thank you for letting me play our real music. I don't get to do this. This was just amazing.
Wow.
And then he takes me to another room. He goes, then he starts telling me, he goes, Mike, this is like when I saw Deep Purple. Now all of a sudden this guy that was so warm, like, don't talk to him. And now he's like, Mike, this reminds me when I saw Deep Purple live. And he's just going on. It's like, this is just incredible. It's like, thank you for bringing this to Muscle Shoals. And that's what we've been getting from, what I'm saying, from like the top producers and writers and the legends. They're all thanking us for bringing what we're doing. But again, it's not like we're trying to change anything. That's just how Tony and I write, you know. And but I think the fact that I am paying a touch of homage to the people here as well, because I do think you add just enough of their sound to what we're doing, and it makes our sound. So.
That is fantastic.
And there you go.
Yeah, oh, wow, that's all. I mean, I love hearing the stories about Muscle Shoals, and like I said, I am familiar with the movie. I just can't recollect if I saw it or not. I've seen so many movies. I mean, sometimes you just forget.
Yeah,
that's why I probably turn it on again and go, "Oh yeah, okay, I did see this." So.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, I watched now the movie probably about like 50 times, but now that I'm here a lot, I'm like,
yeah.
Because the river I have a place out here as well as in Cali, and I mean, it's just a half a mile from my place, the river.
Wow.
So every night I'm at the river, and and when you watch the movie and they're talking about the inspiration of the river, I mean, the folklore goes back to that, thousands and thousands of years,
That's cool.
So.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, I think that was a big thing for Tony and I,
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
Definitely.
What's that, Tony? Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm saying, definitely. It's it's just a different vibe down there, and you pick up on it, but it goes along with what we were doing anyway. But it just sit on like a turbocharge. You know what I mean? It's almost like you gotta. I mean, at least for me, when I was down there, you feel like you have to step up your game. So it's like they also did an interview with Jay Buchanan from Marvel Sunday, said the same thing. Like, because it's not just another day at the office. I mean, you really feel like you go to the place, sing your butt off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you definitely, your approach is a little different, which is cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. Now, guys, before I let you go, well, first of all, I want to thank you for joining me. And I mean, those just talking about that place was pretty amazing. Tell me kind of what lies ahead for In Theory moving forward.
You mean what we're going to be doing next? Or?
Yeah, like you did mention that there's going to be more an album or an EP or something like that along those lines.
Yeah, we're currently in the process of recording songs. Actually, I'm tracking vocals, yesterday and probably tomorrow or whatever. I know Mike's in the studio tomorrow, working on it. We already have 2 other songs completed.
Nice.
And, we're trying to be as active as we can on social media. And, we're just trying to build a fan base so that, when all this craziness is over, we can get out in front of people and maybe get a spot opening up for someone and just get out there on the road and just play these songs live.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'm up I don't know if you guys are aware, but I'm actually up in Canada. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm close to Toronto. So,
Okay.
I mean, our border's closed, so we can't go anywhere. But, I mean, I've been known to, I was just down in Memphis in December and to travel, to go see music. So I don't have an issue with that. But hopefully I'll get the opportunity to see you guys at some point out there because I was really...
Did you go down to the Sun Studios in Memphis?
You know what? I've been to Memphis twice and I have not. I drove by it on my way back.
Oh, okay.
But primarily, I was at the last time I was there. I was with my son and my buddy and his son, and we were at Minglewood Hall. We went to a show there, and then we actually went to the basketball game. We were only there for a couple of days, and then had to head out. And so I didn't get to go to Sun, and I also wanted to. Hopefully, the next time I go is to go to Ardent Studios as well, because a lot of great stuff's come out of there as well. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
How are things where you are with the music scene? Is everything pretty much shut down?
Yeah, there's nothing live. It's pretty dead. I was just talking to somebody about it today, actually, and we're just waiting, because actually I had bought tickets to go see Blackberry Smoke back in February, and that got canceled because of COVID. And then a friend of mine said, "Oh, it's been rescheduled," and showed me the date, and it said October something. I'm like, "That's not going to happen." But actually, it was October 2021. So it's just all a waiting game for everybody, hoping that there's going to be live music soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, keep our fingers crossed, right?
Exactly. I'm sure there's so many people, so many artists wanting to get out and play. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyways, well, guys, I thank you so much, and I can't wait to hear more music. I'm looking forward to that, and I wish you guys the best of luck.
Awesome. Thank you.
No.
Appreciate you having us on your show, man. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime. Hopefully, maybe down the road when more stuff comes out, I'll have you guys on again. That would be awesome.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you guys have a great night, and we'll take care of yourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Are you the one to hold in my